Okay, so today is quite a busy day, I think, for us because this Sunday your essay is due. So let us talk about the intro and the conclusion, and let us just look at what we have to do for this weekend. So I'm just going to my Canvas. I'm going to scroll all the way to the bottom to the most recent module. And if everyone could do the same and download the file for today, it says intro and conclusion outline. And then also when you download it, you'll see that right below it is where you'll upload all 5 paragraphs of your essay. Okay, and that will be your final draft that you'll be uploading, and we'll talk more about that. But I just wanted to kind of be like, this is where it is. So this intro and conclusion outline is exactly what you need to do step by step. Also, in addition to this, you already have in your prompt, right? The prompt that I gave you, like the step-by-step outline, that sample essay, right? And that also has a sample introduction and conclusion. So you're getting an outline for how to do the intro and conclusion, but you also have actual models of what intros and conclusions look like in the essay prompt, okay? And that's the step-by-step outline. If you need it, it's in the module above, okay? So everyone should download this intro and conclusion document. It has everything you need for today as well as your homework for tonight, okay? So I'm going to share that. It's kind of exciting to be close to being done with your first essay, right? Like you're seeing like the culmination of your work is starting to really take root, and now you're going to put an intro and a conclusion paragraph to it, which is going to kind of give it a much more thorough feel. Oops, that's not what I want to. Trying to make it closer. Okay. So I'm going to teach you about intros and conclusions as well as MLA format. So that's what I said, kind of a busy day. Okay, so tonight, your homework is to finish your Obama speech analysis essay. Oh, first off, thumbs up if you can see all the writing. It's not just like a white or a black screen. Okay, good, thank you. Yesterday, I talked for like 5 minutes, and they're like, Ms. Tucker, we can't see anything. I was like, ah! Okay, so you're going to finish your Obama speech analysis essay by Sunday. You're going to put everything in one document. It's going to be in MLA format, which I'm going to go over now, but I bet you already, some of you know it. You're going to have an intro and a conclusion paragraph, and only the body paragraphs are colored. The intro and conclusion is black. I get that question a lot, right? Like it's rainbow paragraphs for the body. The intro and conclusion, there's no coloring, okay? It's all in one document. All 5 paragraphs must be uploaded to Canvas by Sunday night, 10/18 at 11:59 p.m. There'll be no exceptions for late stuff unless you talk to me ahead of time. So if you have like an IEP or something, of course, I will always give you an extension, but like let me know that you need help if possible so I can help you before you need the extension, you know? And then for everyone, if you choose to turn your essay in late, I'll take it. But I'll take 5%. It's Canvas, it does it automatically. We'll take 5% of the final grade. So basically you'll lose 5 points a day. So if it's due Sunday and you turn it in Monday, the most you can get is a 95. You turn it in Tuesday, the most you can get is a 90. And then say it's not a very good essay, so it's a 90, you've lost 10%, you actually only got like a 75, you lose 10% of that, now you're at like a 65, that's a D minus, you know? So it's late stuff can really bring you down, you know? So make sure that you talk to me if you're going to need, and you know, if you have someone in the hospital, if you are going through something right now, like tell me, like I'm human, I get it, right? Like, but tell me ahead of time. What I don't like is when it's like Monday, it's like, oh, sorry, I couldn't turn in my essay because like my family's going through something. Like, I mean, obviously stuff happens, but try to talk to me ahead of time so I can help you instead of you just struggling on your own. Okay, so MLA format. Okay, well, before I start talking about the nitty gritty, I'm going to go through MLA format, intro, and conclusion. So what you should do is you should have downloaded this file, and then you might want to take notes, but really it's all on this file. So what I encourage you to do for the next like 15 minutes is to just watch me. Just like think of this as a video, because I'm making a video, right? And watch how I do it all. Don't try to do it yourself. Just take it all in, because everything's so laid out and so formulaic that now you can take this document and work with it tonight, work with it when I'm done talking, and it will make a lot more sense. Often I see some of my best students, right? They try to get ahead, and in doing so they fall behind because they miss, you know, the teaching part, which is me, right? That's why they pay me the big bucks. Okay, so MLA format. I'm gonna go over it assuming that your 8th grade teachers have at least touched on it. You're going to start on the left-hand side with your name, my name, the class, and the period, and the date. Okay, so you guys are 2nd period, to be Miss Tucker, English 1, period 2, and then usually the due date is the, usually the date is the due date of the assignment. That's something that they ask for in college. So if possible, do that, but it's not a big deal, but that's what the date should be. And then you'll put your title. You can put Obama speech analysis, or you can be creative. At this stage in our writing, I'm not too worried about the title. Notice that the title looks like everything else. It's in 12-point Times New Roman. It's not bolded, it's not underlined, you know, it's not like this, it's not like this, it's not like this. It's just a regular, it's just a regular looking title. It should look like everything else. And that everything else, again, is 12-point Times New Roman, and you're gonna double space it, and it should be aligned left. So your title is centered, okay, so that is centered, but but everything else should be aligned left. And if you don't know how to double space, just literally Google like how to double space in Word, how to double space in Google Docs. Like just Google it, you'll find it. If we were in person, we'd, you know, do more work together, but I can't see your screen, so it's kind of hard. Okay, so that's MLA format. You know, you just have everything is double spaced. There's equal space between all of the lines. So there's equal space between the date and the title as there is between the title and the first paragraph, and so on and so forth. There's never extra space. So you don't need to hit enter in between the paragraphs. Like you don't need to hit it twice. It should all be the same amount of gaps in between your writing, okay? And you'll see that in the sample paragraphs that I gave you in your outline. You'll see that it's all, yeah, and you don't have to ask to use the restroom because it actually is more disruptive to ask me than it is to just go. And that's, I know, weird to just be able to get up and go. Basically, you're responsible for what you miss when you get up though. Okay, so MLA format, right? Your name, my name, class, period, date. Oh, and then the other thing, which, I didn't put on I'll have to re-upload. It got cut off somehow. So this is the hard part. So I'm not gonna like freak out if you guys don't do it. But on the right-hand side, you're supposed to put your last name. So like this person would be Lopez. And then the page number. And how you do that, let me go to my Microsoft Word. How you do that is you go to insert, page number, top of page, and then you type in your actual last name ahead of it. But again, I'm not too freaked out about you having to do this in terms of this header, as long as you do, get that all out. Like, because it's distance learning, like I'm not like freaking out about format. So ideally it looks like this, where it changes, you know, the number changes for each page and it's your last name and it's in the top right-hand corner. But as long as on the first page you have, you know, the information of your name, my name, class, period, and date, that's what I'm really looking for. As long as your title is centered and not in some weird font or a different color, that's what I'm looking for. As long as it's 12-point Times New Roman throughout and double spaced, that's what I'm looking for. I'm not too worried about this page number thing, okay? So if you know how to do it, great. That's MLA format. If you don't, we'll learn it when we get back, okay? What questions do you have about MLA format? Okay, the final product will look like the sample essay in the essay prompt. Now let's talk about the intro paragraph. So the intro paragraph, I've given you a really good formula. Again, all of this is made in my head. You're not going to find this online. This is, I mean, prime stuff that you can use for all 4 years of college, I mean, high school and college. Now, this one is slightly tweaked to be for the Obama speech, but you'll notice that really it's an outline just in general for how to write an introduction paragraph, period. 100, 100. So you're going to start with one of 4 hooks, okay, right? You guys remember probably when you were in younger grades that you always start with the hook, right? A hook grabs the reader. A hook makes the reader want to keep reading. And so your hook is either going to be an observation, a generalization, a question, or a quote that relates to the text. So maybe you start with a generalization. Many students today feel like they have no place in the world. Great, now I'm like hooked. Tell me more. I want to keep reading. What's going on? How can we fix this, right? Or maybe you'll start with an observation. Often people don't think far enough into the future and neglect their education because they see no practical application for it. So you're choosing one of these 4 things to hook your audience, to get us like, tell me more. Then the other 2 options are a quote, right? You could find a quote about the topic of your essay. American President Calvin Coolidge once said that nothing in this world can take the place of persistence. And to find a quote, how you do that is just Google quotes about and then whatever the topic is, right? So you might be like quotes about education, quotes about overcoming challenges, quotes about success, quotes about failure, quotes about school, quotes about whatever you think the essay is about that you're writing, right? And you might want to, Google a couple of different terms. What I do recommend is don't choose first 5. What I mean by that is a lot of you guys are going to end up Googling similar phrases, clicking on one of the first links and then clicking on one of the first quotes, which means I'll get like, a couple of the same quotes over and over again. So try to be creative, try to push your creative bounds. And if you're going to use a quote and you're searching for like quotes about education, quotes about being successful, try to like scroll down into the search results and don't just take like the top one, okay? And then you also have the option of asking a question. This one is not so loved in college, but in high school, it's perfectly fine. And the question would be like, have you ever questioned if getting an education is even worth it in today's changing world? Or like, have you ever felt so out of control you wonder what your place in this world really is? It's supposed to sound a little cheesy, right? It's a hook, right? So you're choosing one of these. I've given you 4 hooks. You're choosing one, okay? And that's one of 4 steps to write an intro paragraph. Okay, so you're choosing one of those. Next, the next step, regardless of which one you chose there, now you're done with your hook. Next, you're gonna connect your hook to the speech or the text that we're working with. So you're gonna say, this is particularly applicable, true, seen, accurate, in the words of President Barack Obama in his speech, America's School Children, because why? Why is the thing that you were just talking about in your hook connected to Obama's speech? And you'll see a sample of what this looks like at the end. The sample is, this is particularly applicable in the words of President Barack Obama in his speech, America's School Children, because Obama believes that everyone has a duty to try. So I'm connecting this idea of Obama believing that everyone has a duty to try to the quote that I found about persistence, right? Persistence, trying, it's all connected, right? So you can't just like drop a quote and then just start talking about Obama. Like, wait, what? You have to connect whatever it is you set up there to the quote, to the speech specifically. Okay, so that's going to be like, this is particularly, and there's multiple verbs you could choose, right? Applicable, true, seen, accurate. You're just saying that like this is also seen in Obama's speech. I talked about it here. The reason I talked about it here, because it's also in here. And then, this one's a little harder, you're gonna write your thesis statement, okay? And your thesis statement is going to say, President Obama uses ethos, pathos, and logos when he talks about or discusses or tells us. And then you have to think about what is the central point of this whole speech. And then you have to think about, in particular, you said he uses You said he uses ethos, pathos, logos. Now, what are the three claims that surround ethos, pathos, and logos? Basically, in other words, you are going to tell us about 3 paragraphs that you have. This paragraph is about how he uses ethos to make a claim. This is about how he uses pathos to make a claim. And this is about how he uses logos to make a claim. What are those claims? You put them kind of into your own words, and that's your thesis. How that looks altogether, and it shouldn't have like, I labeled claim 1, claim 2, claim 3. Obviously that won't be in your thesis. I just wanted you to like see what it was labeling. Okay, so President Obama uses ethos, pathos, and logos when he talks about the necessity of education. In particular, he highlights that we all have positive attributes, an obligation to our country, and an obligation to ourselves. So these 3 claims are in the same order that I gave the ethos, pathos, logos, right? So if I said Obama uses ethos, pathos, logos, that should be the order of my 3 paragraphs, because a thesis is always chronological. A thesis tells the story of your essay in a single sentence. A thesis previews the structure of your essay so that your reader can look at a thesis and go, I know exactly what they're gonna talk about in that exact order. As you can see, I'm going to try to color code it just kind of like for a visual. As you can see, I talk about ethos, and then the first claim is surrounding ethos. I talk about pathos, and the second claim is surrounding pathos, right? So I'm using the same order that I mention it, and then I'm using that same order when I'm actually doing the paragraphs, right? So if it's ethos, pathos, logos, my paragraphs are going to be ethos, pathos, logos. My claims are going to be ethos, pathos, logos. So you want to make sure that you keep that chronological aspect. What questions do you have about that thesis? Because I know it's a lot of information. You might have more success with being able to ask a question. I'm going to give you time to just do it. And when you do it, you'll like find that it's easy or that you have questions. Okay, lastly, the last part of your intro is in 1 to 2 sentences, say why and how this speech is important and how it connects to the real world. In other words, you're just making kind of a general transition from your intro to your body paragraphs by sort of like zooming out and just like saying in general, like how important this speech is or how valuable it is or what an effective rhetorical orator Obama is. You're just kind of like, the last 2 sentences of your intro are just sort of easing us into the more specific body paragraphs. Let's look at what this looks like all together. This is a sample. This is one of 2 sample introductions you have, because there's another introduction in the prompt that is the full 5-paragraph sample essay. Former American President Calvin Coolidge once said that nothing in this world can take the place of persistence. This is particularly applicable in the wise words of President Barack Obama in his speech, America's School Children, because Obama believes that everyone has a duty to try and keep pushing. President Obama uses ethos, pathos, and logos when he talks about the necessity of education. In particular, he highlights that we all have positive attributes, an obligation to our country, and an obligation to ourselves. Teenagers and even young kids must be constantly thinking of the consequences of every educational decision we make. And I wanted to add like another sentence, but I ran out of room. But I would also be like, President Obama's words are not only powerful, but effective in reminding us that we all owe it to ourselves to be as educated as possible. So see how I'm just kind of generally talking about it before I go into the specifics. Okay, and that's the intro. The conclusion is a lot more simple, a lot less directions. The conclusion is just restate your thesis using new words, and then write 4 sentences on how this speech is connected to the real world. So you could, you're going to restate your thesis, but not using the same words as your thesis, right? It's going to be different words. Of course, you'll still use ethos, pathos, logos. Of course, it will still be in that order, but how you word his claims are going to be different, right? So if my thesis is, that we all have positive attributes, I might change that to, he discusses how we all have something inside of us that can help the world. For obligation to our country, I might say, a chance to change the future. And for an obligation to ourselves, and you know, a chance to change our lives, you know. So you're restating the thesis in different words while keeping the same order. And that will be your conclusion. In addition, you'll write 4 sentences, can be more, it just can't be less, about, like, in general, why is this an important thing? I might say, just like off the top of my head, because there is a sample in the prompt, so you can look at that sample, but like, in 2020, the year of unpredictability and pandemics, the importance of education is more prominent now than it has been before. With millions of Americans losing their jobs and facing eviction and homelessness, the words of Barack Obama in regards to the power of education and how it can impact not only you but your family is more important now than it has ever been before. Well, 2020 has been and will continue to bring challenges. President Barack Obama believes that with an education, we can face them straight on. Something like that. You know what I mean? Like, you're kind of like, you want to end on like a powerful note. I just made that up off the top of my head. Like, if I can do that off the top of my head, you can do it really well this weekend. And really think about being motivational. Think about, like, kind of like take a leaf from Obama's book. Like, you know, like be like end on that inspiration, end on that like, whoa. Or, you know, maybe you want to end on a more like straightforward note, you know, like, you know, the jobs of today are different than the jobs of our parents. And while our parents could afford to have a home and children with just a high school education, that's not the truth these days. President Barack Obama is telling us that ultimately, if we want to have at least the amount of, you know, lifestyle that our parents have, we need to get an education, because in these changing times, an education is the only thing that will make us happy. You know, so it can be anything. It just has to connect to the real world. What questions do you have about the conclusion or about any of the parts of the intro?